Now, the Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Professor Kwesi Opoku-Amankwah, on Thursday, April 11, launched the new basic curriculum as part of ongoing reforms in the sector. Now, Professor Opoku-Amankwah said the Education Ministry is embarking on the reforms, particularly at the pre-tertiary level, to make education more responsive to the human resource and development needs of Ghana. Let's narrow in to the curriculum, because what is generating controversy is the introduction of pupils in basic schools to history involving J.B Danquah, one of the big six, before they even get to hear about Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, who is regarded as key in Ghana's history. Well, I will speak with a historian on the impact or otherwise of these changes. But first, listen to Professor Kwame Osei-Boateng, who is chairman of the National Council for Curriculum Assessment.
Not writing the history of, we didn't design the curriculum based on any political consideration. We designed the curriculum purely based on professional, historical consideration. History, when you talk about history, is the study of the past, important past events that impacted on a society, politically, socially, economically, and culturally. If that event is relevant to the society, then that event becomes history. So, when you are writing history, history deals with date, period. It is also chronological, because period and date are virtually synonymous, because when you are talking about 1900, you start from 1901, 1902, and then you'll be moving on to the end of the century or something like that. So we were looking at the history of Ghana from the beginning of the geographical space called Ghana, which the Portuguese at a point in time called Gold Coast. We were looking at all the historical figures, you get me, who emerged at the time. Some of them came before others, and some will be given prominence as we progress. Okay. Will be given prominence as we progress. Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's name will be replaced in the curriculum from JHS up to SHS. Because you can't deny that. Because when you come to after 1947 and then 1949 and then 1951 onwards, it is he who will come into the picture, and the sum of and all the roles that he played to come to accelerated development plan of education. You come to economic, industrial, everything. It is Osajifo Doctor until 1966 when he was overthrown. It is he who will be playing the whose name will come up and will feature. So in the design of the curriculum, saying that everybody played an important role, we decided to highlight the role that J.B Danquah played, so that the students will also know. Because if you come to the university, we have a course, a program called Intellectual History of Ghana, and in that Intellectual History of Ghana, J.B Danquah plays an active role. But because we don't study the history at the basic level, nobody knows about it. It's only when you go up there. All right. It's only when you go up there. So it's about time we let the students know that there was also J.B Danquah who also played a role, so that the history becomes balanced. It's not skewed towards one direction, as some people want us to believe.
It becomes balanced indeed. Let's now speak with Mr. Ivor Ajimandria, and he is an essayist and literary historian, for his perspective on this development. So we heard from the chairman of NACA. He believes that history must be balanced, and he's not the only person who believes that. But having children learn about J.B Danquah from class 1 to 6, and junior high school students up to the SHS level have Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, because according to NACA, they must represent history in a chronological way. This has become a subject of debate for many. What do you think, sir?
Well, thank you for the invitation. It depends on what sort of history we're looking at. History could be chronological, as you say. It could be narrative. It could be interpretative. It could be other forms of it. So that is in order. Of course, we all look up to a balanced history as part of public memoirs for nation building. So that is also in order. And I've looked at the 70-page document that you sent me, and the areas or pages where you said a particular individual appears, Dr. J.B Danquah, and where others don't appear, and where Nkrumah appears. I think it's all in order. If Danquah appears 10 times, and if Nkrumah appears 3 times or whatever, it all depends on the context in which it is. So the fact that maybe Danquah appears 7 times, Danquah appears 10 times in a particular context may not necessarily be distortion of history. And it will be very difficult to do that because history cannot be reenacted. The history of Ghana is so clear. I mean, the processes are so clear. And Nkrumah's role is so clear. He had the price of the ticket.
So would you...
It would be very difficult to sort of do otherwise. But if others are being brought to the picture because previously they were neglected and they're based on facts, that is fine. But I think Nkrumah stands out in the 50s and 60s into when he was overthrown in terms of his dominance in the politics of the nation. Prior to independence, post-independence, until he left the scene in 1956. So I'm not very worried about other aspects of our history, other interpretations that are coming up. But at the end of it, I think it's clear who played what role, who was prominent in what process, and who at the end had the prize, as I said, of the ticket.
Mr. Jimandria, we'll come to recent happenings that could be the reason people are a bit uncomfortable about this particular curriculum that has been developed. But let me just say, when I was in primary school, I studied the history of Ghana. I learned about the Big Sis. I learned about the formation of the UGCC. I learned about Kwame Nkrumah's role and how he broke away and all that. Now, if you're having children from class 1 to 6 study about Dr. J.B Danquah in detail, for example, because we are told that 1 to 5 they study about him, but in class 6 they go in detail. And we are hearing from the chairman of NACA that Dr. Nkrumah will be introduced from the junior high school level up to the senior high school level. What happens to people who can further their education? Why can't we have it all within the primary level? That's 6 years. Why can't we have, you know, a more, for purposes of borrowing the chairman of NACA's own words, something more balanced in that basic stretch from class 1 to 6?
Well, I'm not an expert in this area of building these matters up in terms of what to teach, what form of history.
But you are a historian, so what would you suggest?
No, I mean the product of materials for teaching of history. That is normally what the experts will do. But what I know is history that doesn't have much influence, does not normally last. So it depends on how it's looked at. Of course, Danquah played a role up to a point. But that role cannot overtake other roles. So if you are teaching children, if you are teaching school kids as to the processes, the historical connections that led to independence, it should be very clear the junctions that we got to before the ultimate goal. So, yes, Danquah, of course, played a role, but I don't think it can be rewritten in such a way as to distort the real issues that led to the Gold Coast becoming Ghana. And in that sense, the history that we're talking about is party neutral. So you can't get all teachers maybe being on one side saying that well, we are pro-Danquah, or others being on the other side to say that we are pro-Nkrumah. It's factual and it should be neutral. So the facts and the materials should speak to the circumstances in which the historical processes occurred. And for me, as I keep saying, it's clear. We have a very clear history. We have a very clear role of what Nkrumah did from when he joined the UGCC to when he founded the CPP to independence for this country. It's very clear.
Mr. Jemandua, let's come to recent happenings when, excuse me, President Akufo-Addo assumed office. We've seen consistently the mention of J.B. Danquah in the State of the Nation address, Independence Day celebration address. We've seen, for example, the debate about founder or Founders Day, and one being made, August 4 being made Founders Day, or September 21 being made Memorial Day, sort of Kwame Nkrumah, the Founders Day, which was the Kwame Nkrumah Day. There's been this debate going on, and many believe that this introduction of the curriculum hasn't happened in isolation, and that is why they are worried that there is a certain attempt to probably water down the impact of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and focus more on J.B. Danquah. You are a historian. You've observed what's been happening, and
yes, I've heard people say this, and I heard people advance arguments towards this. But I was recently in South Africa, where a particular newspaper, I think it's the Mail and Guardian, published an article about these debates taking place in Ghana as to whether we have a founder or founders. And the commentary in the publication was that whilst Africans and the world knows who Ghana's founder is and was at the time, it looks like Ghanaians don't know who the founder was and is currently. So it became a sort of a cynical commentary as to, well, we know who Nkrumah is and the role that Nkrumah played. So it's known outside, beyond the borders of Ghana, internationally it's known, and there's no doubt about that. But internally, in our domestic politics, there are contestations as to what role is. It normally happens in revival, in historical reconstruction, as we see now. But at the end, I think the truth always comes out, and it comes out strongly, no matter what rounds, what ends it goes.
There are those on the other side of the coin who think this is good. We need to tell history from all angles and not from just one angle.
Yeah, I think.
Would you agree with them?
I think it's been done very well in South Africa, where Mandela insisted that other people should be given certain rights in terms of name recognition. So you have the Oliver Tambo International Airport. Even the composer of God Bless Africa, that which was written in the 1800s, has a place in the historical records, in the historical recognition of South Africa. So they've done that very well, from Walter Sisulu, others. Virtually everybody has a place. Everybody has a certain level of recognition in terms of the struggle that ended apartheid and even pre-apartheid. So that has been done very well there. And the history over there is also so clear. We're struggling a bit now with the revision history, but I'm sure it will settle down and it will still not be a reenactment, sort of can reenact history. So when this is settled down, it will still be what it's supposed to be.
Thank you very much for your time this morning. Ivor Jemandua is a literary historian sharing his thoughts with us on the introduction of the new curriculum into basic schools.